Some people work 60-hour weeks their entire lives and never get ahead, while others seem to build wealth almost quietly, almost effortlessly. That gap isn't luck, it isn't education, it isn't even income. It's something running underneath all of that, something most people never stop to examine. There are specific patterns, invisible ones, that keep hardworking people financially stuck year after year, no matter how much effort they pour in. And once you see them clearly, you realize they were never hidden. They were just never pointed out directly. That changes right now. Here's the first one, and it hits harder than most people expect because it doesn't feel like a trap when you're inside it. Most people believe they're building wealth when they're actually building the appearance of wealth. There's a massive difference between those two things. A new car feels like success. A bigger apartment feels like progress. Brand new furniture, the latest phone, these feel like rewards for working hard. But here's what's actually happening. Every one of those purchases is a liability. It takes money out of your pocket every single month. Payments, insurance, maintenance. An asset puts money into your pocket. A liability pulls it out. When you confuse the two, you can earn more and more and still fall further behind. The Federal Reserve's consumer finance data consistently shows that higher income households and lower income households often have similar monthly cash flow because lifestyle expands with income almost automatically. That's not a coincidence. Consumer culture is specifically designed to absorb every raise you get before you even feel it. The system is working exactly as intended, just not for you. The second dark truth is this. You are almost certainly trading time for money, and time is the one resource you cannot make more of. A paycheck is an exchange. You give hours, you receive dollars. The moment you stop giving hours, the dollars stop. That's the structure almost every American is locked into. Wealthy people don't escape work. They build systems that generate income whether they're working or not. Investments, businesses, intellectual property. Income that doesn't require their presence. The shift from trading time to building systems is the single most important financial transition a person can make. And most people never make it because no one frames it.
Dark truth number 3 is about debt, and specifically the version of debt that feels completely normal until you do the actual math. Credit cards carrying a balance at 18 to 24% interest are one of the most powerful wealth-destroying forces in the American economy, and they sit in 77 million wallets right now. The average American household carrying credit card debt pays roughly $1,000 a year in interest alone, money that goes directly to the lender, producing zero return for the borrower. That's $1,000 a year that could have been invested, compounding over time. At a 7% average market return, that same $1,000 doubles roughly every 10 years. Debt used to acquire assets can build wealth. Debt used to fund a lifestyle is a slow, quiet financial leak, and most people don't feel it until it's already a flood. If this is landing the way it should, consider subscribing. This channel covers wealth psychology and financial patterns that don't get explained this directly anywhere else. One click keeps this in your feed. Dark Truth 4 is about identity, and this one is psychological, which makes it the most stubborn of all 7.
Most people have an internal number, a subconscious ceiling, for how much money they believe they're allowed to have. It was set in childhood, watching the adults around them. If money was always scarce, always stressful, always something people fought over, your nervous system learned that money is dangerous, or that wanting more makes you greedy. And so, unconsciously, when income rises, spending rises to match. When savings accumulate, a crisis appears to drain them. The psychology self-corrects back to the familiar number. This isn't weakness. It's the brain doing exactly what it was trained to do. But recognizing it is the first step to interrupting the pattern, and the pattern absolutely can be interrupted. Dark Truth 5 is one most people completely underestimate. Your social environment has a stronger influence on your financial outcomes than almost any decision you consciously make. Research from Harvard economist Raj Chetty and his team has shown that the people around you, your neighborhood, your peer group, your daily relationships, shape your economic trajectory more than your own financial choices in isolation. If everyone around you normalizes living paycheck to paycheck, never investing, spending every raise, that becomes your baseline. Not because you're lazy, because humans are wired to match the group. You don't have to cut people off, but you do have to be intentional about whose financial habits you're absorbing, because you are absolutely absorbing them, whether you realize it or not. And look, this is genuinely uncomfortable to sit with, because it implies that some of your money struggles aren't entirely your fault. That's not an excuse, it's just the truth, and it deserves to be said out loud. Dark Truth 6 is about financial literacy, or more specifically, the massive gap between what American schools teach and what actually determines financial outcomes in real life. Only 26 states currently require a personal finance course for high school graduation. That means the majority of American adults entered adulthood without a single formal lesson on compound interest, debt, or investing. But here's what makes this especially interesting. The wealthy don't wait for school to teach their kids. Financial education in high-wealth households happens at the dinner table, through conversations, examples, and early exposure to how money actually moves. That's not information gatekeeping, but it does mean some people start the game already knowing the rules, and others spend years learning through expensive mistakes. That gap is real and it's closable. The seventh dark truth is the one that ties everything together. And it's the one most worth sitting with before this video ends. Most people are optimizing for income when they should be optimizing for net worth. Those are not the same thing, and confusing them is the root of almost every pattern we've covered today. Income is what comes in. Net worth is what stays. You can earn a six-figure salary and have a negative net worth, and millions of Americans do exactly that every single year. Wealth is not what you earn. It's what you keep, what you grow, and what eventually works on your behalf without requiring your constant attention. That's the actual target. Every dollar you earn has three possible futures. It gets spent, it gets saved, or it gets put to work. Most people spend almost all of it and wonder why the number in their account never moves. The shift isn't about deprivation. It's about intention, making conscious, deliberate choices about which dollars go where, instead of letting the default patterns decide for you. Because the default, the automatic, unconsidered version of financial life, was designed by companies whose entire business model depends on you spending more than you should. Here's what I want you to think about and drop in the comments. Which of these 7 truths has had the biggest impact on your financial life? And what's one thing you're going to do differently because of it? Genuine answers, real ones, because the comments on this channel consistently have some of the most thoughtful financial conversations on the platform, and that matters. If this video gave you something real, a new frame, a pattern you finally recognized, subscribe and hit like. The next video goes even deeper on the psychological side of money, and you'll want to catch it. The understanding is out there. The patterns are recognizable once you know where to look. The only thing left is deciding what you actually do with that clarity, starting today.